Hello everyone. Today we are going to start with the topic biomolecules. This is from the textbook part 2 of chemistry. First, let us understand the meaning of the word biomolecules. Biomolecules are naturally occurring organic compounds present as essential constituents of living organisms in different cells. So we must understand first of all that the biomolecules are considered as organic compounds. The meaning of the word organic is that they must contain carbon atom. Biomolecules are present in the cells of the living organisms. And if we look at the hierarchy of a living organism, how an organism is made, we come to know that the cells are the building blocks of an organism. Various cells comprise, they collect together and they form tissues. The tissues collect together and form organs. Organs, they form organ systems, and finally we have the organisms. So if you look at the basis of an organism, the living plants and the animals, we will see that these cells are the basis of every living organism, and the biomolecules are present inside the cells. So it's very wonderful to see that although these cells are living, but they are made up of the non-living biomolecules. Now, what are the various examples of biomolecules which we are going to study in this chapter? First of all, we will see carbohydrates. So first of all, let us understand the meaning of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the most abundant biomolecules on the earth. They are of two types, simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. You can understand the meaning of this word carbohydrates. So initially they were considered as the hydrates of carbon. That means compounds of carbon, like let's say we are having the formula CxH2O Y times. So in the olden times they were considered to be the compounds having this kind of general formula CxH2O Y times. For example, if we talk about glucose, C6H12O6. So here we can see that glucose, I can write it as C6H2O 2 times, right? 6 times. So it becomes C6H12O6. So this kind of definition was existing for carbohydrates, and they are again of two types, simple carbohydrates, that means which are very simple, and if we look at the formula, they will be very small formulae, like they will be of two types, monosaccharides and disaccharides. Monosaccharides will be the simplest carbohydrates occurring on the earth. Like for example, we have to study in this chapter glucose, fructose and galactose. So these are the three important ones. Disaccharides, as the name suggests, they are having two units. These are having, monosaccharides are having just one unit. Monosaccharides, if you boil with water and acid, they will not break down. Whereas disaccharides, if you boil them and if you cause their hydrolysis, you will find that they break down to two units or two molecules. Like we have sucrose, it's a disaccharide. We have lactose and we have maltose. So sucrose is a kind of disaccharide which is made up of glucose and fructose. Lactose is a disaccharide which is made up of glucose plus galactose. And maltose is a disaccharide again which is made up of 2 units of glucose itself. So this is the first type of biomolecules which are present inside the living bodies, that is plants and the animals. If you talk about the plants, you will see that starch is in one common example, which is very simple. If you talk about the animals, you can see variety of examples, like we have glucose inside our body. We have cholesterol also inside our body, which is also kind of biomolecule. Let's talk about proteins, but cholesterol will not be a carbohydrate, it will be just a biomolecule. The second carbohydrate is proteins. Now you can, proteins are the simplest ones, and they are made up of nitrogen. Essentially they contain carbon and nitrogen, so they are nitrogenous compounds. Examples of proteins are keratin, which is present in our hair, in our nails, and in the, you can say, the hoofs of the animals. Myosin, which is present in the muscles. Nucleic acids are the third category of biomolecules. They are of two types, DNA, RNA. So DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid and RNA is ribonucleic acid. So DNA is, as you can see, it's a structure which will be comprising of two helices like this, two helix we can say. So it's a double helical structure where two helices are intertwined around each other, whereas RNA will be made up of a single-stranded structure. Enzymes are basically proteins, and they are useful for our metabolic functions, and they are acting actually as a catalyst. And for example, for digestion we are having enzymes like pepsin and trypsin, which makes our process very fast. The names of the enzymes will be ending with the suffix ase, like we have salivary amylase present in the saliva, we have maltase and enzyme. All the enzymes are proteins. This is an important point for us to understand, that all the enzymes are proteins except an enzyme ribozyme. Hormones are the next category of biomolecules, the molecules which are produced by living organisms, plants and animals. We are going to talk about only animal hormones in this chapter. The example of hormones will be insulin. So these are chemicals which are produced inside a body. Now hormones can be protein hormones, they can be proteins, or they can be non-proteins also. Except your sex hormones, you can say you will have the hormones will be proteins. Like for example, you have insulin, which is a protein which is responsible for maintaining the glucose level in the blood. Estrogen is a sex hormone, it is a non-protein. Similarly, testosterone is also a male hormone, it is also a non-protein. So it is testosterone. The next type of biomolecules are lipids. Lipids are oils and fats which we commonly use in our foodstuffs. Oil is a liquid at room temperature and fats are solids at room temperature. The examples of oils which are produced by animals like cod liver oil is there. Then we have fats, like we have butter, which is also produced by animal product. We have coconut and olive oil, and the various types of oil which are used by us for eating purpose, they are all the plant based products. So these are basically a kind of biomolecules, and they have their functions to carry out. The location where fats can be seen in the body will be under the skin, beneath the skin, and also in the tissues called as adipose tissue over here, let's say. So there are two locations of fats, under the skin and in the adipose tissues. The last biomolecules which we have to study here is vitamins. Vitamins are again very important for the sustenance of life, and we can have variety of vitamins. They are important for various metabolic functions. Their deficiencies will cause various kinds of disorders. The examples of vitamins will be A, B, C, D, E, K, and so on and so forth. We must understand that vitamin A, D, E, K are fat soluble vitamins. So naturally, whatever fats we are eating, they are useful for us in dissolving these kinds of vitamins like A, D, E, K. Otherwise, we will face deficiency of these kind of vitamins. Then we have vitamin B and C. Of course, they are going to be water soluble vitamins, right? So basically, this whole chapter will revolve around various types of biomolecules, and in great detail we are going to study about carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids. Now we can see here that proteins, then we have the polysaccharides, nucleic acids and lipids. All these highlighted biomolecules, they are polymers. Alright, the meaning of the word polymers is that big molecules, or we can say that they are a kind of macromolecules. Alright, so all the macromolecules which are basically big sized molecules, like for example we have starch, which is a kind of polymer, and it is basically made up of glucose. So many glucose units together make up starch. So if you're going to boil starch, you break down starch, what you get is glucose. What is glucose is nothing but it is the simplest carbohydrate, which is called as monosaccharide. So what is the building block of polysaccharide? So the building block of any polysaccharide is going to be a monosaccharide. For example, starch, the unit is monosaccharide glucose. Similarly, if you talk about the cellulose, again cellulose is also a kind of polymer. It is also a kind of polysaccharide which you break down, it will also give you again glucose. Then proteins are also kind of polymers. They are made up of simple building blocks or simple units which are called as alpha amino acids. So what is a protein made up of? If you talk about a protein, is made up of alpha amino acids, like we have these two. Then nucleic acids are both the nucleic acids. They will be made up of units called as nucleotides. We are going to study about this afterwards. Enzymes are not polysaccharide, they are not polymers. Lipids are again polymers of different units. So we don't have to study lipids in great detail in our class 12. So basically the main types of carbohydrates which we are going to focus around in this chapter will be carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids, enzymes, hormones, vitamins. So if someone asks us what are the main categories of biomolecules, so these are the 4 different types, the major ones: carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids and lipids.